This flight connected art, history, and some of the most iconic landscapes in the Southwest and the Rockies, connecting seasons, places, and experiences in a way that ties your life together. It's one of the things I love about flying. After a quick fuel stop in Brigham City, I pushed on to Nampa, where I stopped for the night. Time to get prepared to go into the Frank Church Wilderness tomorrow. Want to get there early. Good morning, guys. I'm in Nampa, Idaho, and I'm about to take off for Johnson Creek. But check this out. This is pretty cool. I wish every airport had this.
These days, the night shift cutie at the truck stop knows my name. Threw the candle in the midnight oil and lit up the honky-tonk highway.
Climbing out of Nampa, I headed north. Leaving Treasure Valley, the landscape transformed quickly. Rolling farmland gives way to rugged mountains and dense forests. As I continue up the Payette River Valley, the canyon walls get steeper and the valleys get more narrow. This is my first time flying into the Idaho Backcountry. I've always imagined what it would be like, but sitting alone in the cockpit, knowing that Doug and Levi are hours behind, makes it a little bit more real. Finally, the valley opened, and as I passed Cascade Lake, I could see McCall up ahead. McCall is the last fuel stop before the short hop to Johnson Creek.
I found a 6-string ticket and jumped that westbound train. I only slowed down long enough to stand up on that stage. Cloud 9 is a cloud of dust for the next 1,000 miles.
Well, just landed at McCall, Idaho. Man, what an amazing flight up here. Flew up some nice tight valleys, and then it opened up into this big valley that we're in where Cascade Lake is, and McCall's at the north end of that. But just topped off on fuel, and next stop is Johnson Creek. So I'm going to come in the north route. I'm going to fly over to Yellow Pine and then down into the pattern and loop around the field and then go to land. So next stop, I'll see you guys in Johnson Creek.
Refueling at McCall was smooth. I looked for others who might be flying into Johnson Creek, but it's a Sunday, so everyone was leaving Johnson Creek that day. And with the other guys still hours behind, the reality was setting in. I'd be going it alone. Every decision would be up to me. Therefore, I carefully planned the next segment, double-checked the weather, reread the approach into Johnson Creek. But then it was go time. The climb out of McCall is no joke. It's just me, my airplane, and a Rocky Mountain ridge that peaks at about 9,064 feet, standing between here and the backcountry adventure. But as the ridge grows in the windscreen and my nerves start to fire, I remind myself, I prepared for this, and the Kitfox and the Rotax 915 IS are more than capable. Therefore, I pushed over the ridge, take a breath at the top, and start my descent down toward Yellow Pine and Johnson Creek. As I approach Yellow Pine, I descend to 1,500 feet above field elevation and announce my approach in from the north. The first call-out point was at Gap, which is pretty self-explanatory in the approach, as I pass with a huge mountain on my right and a short hill on my left. As I turn the corner to head south, I don't see the strip as I expected. The river makes another S-turn before you can see the field. I hug the valley wall on the right side and fly down the west side of the field, before turning and entering a left downwind for runway 17. As I start my base to final turn, I start my descent, but I was way too high to make the field. Therefore, I decide to go around. I power back up and again maneuver to the right side of the canyon to set up for another left downwind approach toward 17. This time, I prepare myself for a steeper descent and slip to land. Rolling out on the grass at Johnson Creek with no one next to me brings a rush of pride. But as I park, the empty parking spots next to my plane remind me that my crew is still en route. Therefore, I set up my camp and soak in the view, greet some of the other campers, I finally understand why pilots travel from every corner to experience this. A couple hours later, I hear Doug and Levi announce their approach in. They made it in safely. While those guys get their camp set up, I decide to go exploring. I grab my one wheel and hit the winding road along the Johnson Creek River. It looks like Yellow Pine is about 7 miles from here. But I've never ridden my one wheel that far down and back up some mountainous dirt roads. This seemed like as good a time as any to try. Every bump and breeze along the way makes me glad I took this little journey alone. Yellow Pine was founded in 1902 as an old campsite along the trail to the mining camps. Today it's famous for its quirky harmonica festival held every August. But it's a Sunday, so town is dead today. Everything is closed. Therefore I wander around town and stumble upon the Corner Bar and Grill. It turns out it was changing ownership and wasn't quite open yet. But the new owner welcomed me in and offered to make some chicken wings and offered me a beer. My flying was done for the day, so I said why not. He also offered to fire up the grill the next day if we wanted to bring a group. Johnson Creek feels remote because it is. But it's the jumping off point to explore the Frank Church River of No Return wilderness. 2.3 million acres of pure untamed country. Named after Senator Frank Church, who fought to protect these lands. Therefore I realized that this solo landing isn't an ending, but the beginning of my true backcountry journey. When I returned to camp, I realized several others in our text group had arrived as well. Several had fires going, so we sat around telling stories and planning the next day. Stick around, the best is yet to come.